upstairs yet? Okay, so you guys will go up after this. You know, we rented out our upstairs office about 3.5 years ago, pre-COVID, and it's actually why I'm so, it's just such a good example of that. No matter what business you're in, real estate and social media will play into it no matter what. So what happened with our upstairs office was, it was the last office that they needed to lease out before they could sell the building. So they basically were doing a fix and flip on the building, and it was a gray shell, meaning there was nothing in it, just concrete, no walls, nothing, just a blank space. So I looked at it and I was like, hey, I mean, I like the space, but I'm not paying to get this thing done. Like, it's a lot of money. I don't even own the building. They're like, all right, well, make us an offer. And so we end up making them an offer, and it ends up being, we get them to build out 250 grand worth of build outs. Like, you'll see it upstairs, like freaking glass walls and stuff, and sick. And then they gave us 6 months free rent. And so, you know, just, it's a real estate deal for our business. So like learning real estate, negotiating and everything will always benefit you everywhere, right? But what happened was, you know, thankfully after a few years, we ended up, you know, outgrowing the space. And so this space became available, and I was like, well, we don't need all of it yet, but whatever, we'll grow into it, and we can't afford to lose out on this because we have nowhere else. Like, we'll have to go to a different building. So we rented this. This was 6,000 square feet, and I knew at that point social media and content was going to be way bigger than even what it was at that point. This was like 1.5 years ago. I was like, so we're gonna have to build this out legit. And so, you know, we built out this set, we built out the white infinity wall, you know, we built out the other sets that you'll see and everything, you know, obviously the event space. I just kind of knew that was the future. And it's funny because I was interviewing Brandon Turner right there yesterday. And I was like, dude, how did you start the Bigger Pockets podcast? Like, what was that like? And he was like, you know, we started in 2012, and I'll be honest with you, I thought we missed the podcast boat. He thought they missed it in 2012. He was like, I was like, dude, I didn't even know what a podcast was until like 2015 when I first heard the Bigger Pockets podcast. And he's like, yeah, we thought we missed it, but you know, obviously things worked out, and ironically, we were super early. Like, there was like no podcast at the time. And so in my journey on social media, I've just seen that play out too, of like, you know, I get on Facebook and I start making posts in like 2016, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of late to this, whatever, right? Then, you know, this TikTok thing happens in 2020, and like I feel like I'm kind of late to it, but I'm still kind of early because not a lot of people are doing it. But like, also, you know, Gary Vee had been talking about it for a while and nobody was taking it seriously. And then, you know, TikTok blows up, and then people still think they missed the boat, right? Then, you know, Instagram and YouTube and Threads came out last week. Like, the moral of the story is, in social media, it's never too late. Like, literally, there's always some new thing that's coming out. There's always some new feature that can blow up. You know, the existing things are still also good. And the great thing about social media today is all of them are kind of the same. So you don't have to like go and create all this different content. It's like all of them take short form, you know? Like for me, the philosophy the last few years has been this: short form leads to long form, which leads to customers. So what I mean by that is, the reason people buy from you is because they spend time with you, right? That's any business in general, right? It's hard to go get somebody to do business with you if they only saw you for 1 minute, right? Like, who's gonna do business with you, right? Usually in the old school way, before social media, was like, you go take them to lunch, you guys go to a game together, you play golf. Like, what are you doing? You're just trying to spend time with somebody to build trust. But the cool thing is we have this thing called social media now where we can build trust at scale. Because I can only golf with so many people, but I can build trust at scale with social media. So what happens is, we know for a fact internally that if somebody spends, you know, at least 7 hours consuming content, they're gonna buy something. They're gonna come to WealthCon, they might invest in one of our coaching programs. You know, he was telling me he just joined our media company. Like, they're gonna do something. So the goal is, how do you get people to watch your long form content in social media, right? So how many of you guys have seen my podcast? That's why you guys are here, right? Like, it makes perfect sense. You know, how many would you say you've consumed over 7 hours of content? Okay?
Last week.
Last week. This guy did it last week. I can guarantee he's gonna buy something. So, but that's just how it goes, right? Like, you spend time with somebody, you want to, you just gain more trust and all that stuff. So, if the goal is long form turns people into customers, clients, investors, partners, whatever the case is. How do you get as many people to your long form as possible? Well, short form. That's where TikToks and Reels and everything comes into play. Because it's very difficult to get views on long videos. Getting somebody to watch you for an hour is hard, right? But getting somebody to watch a 30-second reel is not that hard, right? So Reels and everything will always get more views. So really, what you need to do is the purpose needs to be, man, how do I get people aware of my long form content and aware of me as just a person and get them to watch my long form. And so that's why for years we've just repurposed the podcast and it's led to the podcast continuing to grow. Now does the podcast grow at this freaking enormous rate? No, it's just a slow, steady climb and it just keeps getting more downloads and that's how it goes. But it would never have reached its the amount of views and downloads it's gotten unless the short form was there to bring awareness to it. And I'll tell you this, when I'm out walking about wherever, whether it's an event or just on the strip in Vegas, I'll get people who recognize me and you can tell what kind of I guess, I don't know how to say it's follower they are, because there are some people who follow me, or not follow me, but recognize me. And they'll be like, dude, you look like you're the real estate guy on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah. But they're not obviously buying anything. They're aware of me, right? Then you'll get people like yourselves who have invested significant money to attend an event, to fly here, to get hotel. You guys invest a lot of money to be here. And so, those kinds of people, whenever I go to an event, they'll be like, dude, I love your podcast. You did with so-and-so. They know, they've seen the different things. And so the goal is always with any business, building awareness for your business. Social media is part of your business. So how do you build awareness? Now, not everyone who's aware of you is going to do business with you. Maybe only 1% do business with you, which is fine. 1% of people who watch you can make you a lot of money, right? So it can raise a lot of money for all your real estate people. So it's hey, if I already know 1% is going to actually end up doing business with me in some way, then it just means you got to expand the top as much as you can. So that's why we're still such big proponents of short form, but we also know that we have to get long form too. So that's the goal, and that's really where social media is going. It's actually where we're repositioning Pineda Media to go now. Is we really just want people to have podcasts, because even if you don't have that many followers, like I said, if 1,000 people watch your podcast, there's 10 people in there that will do business with you. The math is the math. So what are 10 people worth to you in your business? You get 10 new investors, you get 10 people to buy your thing, you get one deal from those 10 people. It's worth a lot of money. And so for us, it's that's our whole philosophy, is just short form leads to long form, leads to revenue, essentially. Yeah.
Quick question.
Yep.
Are your short form videos created from long form videos?
Yes.
You start with the long and then you chop it up and then that's your attraction?
We do two types, right? So, and now we're getting into the deeper level of this. So the easiest way for an entrepreneur is to do exactly that, because we could go film an hour podcast and that's it, right? Our team can take the hour podcast, make it look dope, then chop it up into 7 clips. So now you have a video every single day for the week. Took an hour of time, right? So from the easy standpoint, most efficient, that's how you do it. And I did that for probably a year, right? If you want to take it to the next level, it's a little more difficult, but it will get more views than a repurposed video. And that's when I do my direct filming views, right? And I'll just be whatever, right? It's scripted. And I don't want to say it's scripted because I freestyle everything, but I'll get prompted with questions. So my team will be like, Ryan, what do you think of the current real estate market? And then I'll just go into it, right? And then I'll do different hooks to try, because the hook is the most important part. So we'll do different hooks, and you can't really do that with repurpose. Like whatever was said was said, and the editors are just doing their best to find the most viral moments, whereas we can manufacture like viral moments. So direct filming is also very good. So like this is what it is, right? If you want to do it to the maximum ability, you do both, which is what I mean. At Pineda Media, we can do it both. But if you're concerned about time, like that one is way harder to do than this one, because like we have to sit with our clients for like 3 hours at a time to go get like 15 videos out of them.
I don't know. You may be going to get into this, but like I'm curious now that you've got traction with the whole media part of this. Do you schedule, like how far in advance do you schedule? You're like, okay, I know I'm filming like all day today. Like, do you block that out and say today's content creation, and then you work on business operations on your other days? Is that kind of how you structure it?
That's exactly how I structure it. Yeah. Today, you guys wouldn't believe my day today. So today I got here at 7, filmed a podcast with Kent Clothier. So like, we have so many great speakers coming, and so I want to make sure I get my content. So like, I'm filming like 8 podcasts this week with the speakers because they're here, right? It's like I have to do it. So I filmed with Kent at 7. Then obviously we're doing this event till like 1 or whatever, and then I have somebody coming at 1, Carlos Reyes. So him and I are gonna film from 1 to 3. Then from 3 to 5, I have Sebastian and just coming. So then we're gonna film. From 5 to 7, I have Brandon Carter coming. So then I'm gonna film with him, and then I'm gonna meet you guys at Brooklyn Bowl, like, and then I'm gonna party all night, and then like I'm gonna go speak on stage the next day. Like that's what my day is gonna be.
What social media platforms do you use, and which one do you get more engagement on?
We're literally everywhere. I mean, we literally post about 50 times a day across everything. Yeah, because I mean, like we'll repurpose the reels into tweets. We'll post it on Facebook. I mean, but it's not as crazy as it sounds, because like you can just post the same video across lots of platforms. So one video might be worth 7 posts.
I guess, for somebody who's starting out, who has 200 followers, how do you start to get that following? What do you recommend in terms of posting?
Like if you could only pick one?
Yeah.
Well,
that's all the time you got.
I think, look, this is what I would do, right? And this is the most efficient method for an entrepreneur, and you don't have to use Pineda Media for it. It's just what should happen if time is an issue. Film a podcast once a week. It takes an hour. Repurpose it. Have somebody post the clips on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. That's it. That's the game. That's the model when time's a crunch.
So I was on a webinar once where you said most investors don't do social media because they don't see the ROI on it.
Yeah.
So in your early stages, how did you start to figure out that was right for you? And
yeah, so I had already known that social media was worth it, because like at a small level, like I was talking about in Facebook, I was making money. So like I would just post what I was doing, and I didn't do videos, I didn't do anything. I just made posts. I was like, here's a before and after of a flip I did, like whatever. And it was super generic, but what I found was I would get DMs and comments, and people were like, dude, how do I do this? And I'd be like, do you have money? And they'd be like, yeah. I'm like, just invest with me. And then boom, I had investors. And that was how I raised all my private money. It was literally from social media on Facebook starting out. This is back in 2016, 2017 when I was a nobody, right? Then I would post my flips, and I started to get smart. I was like, I'm gonna shout out these agents that I'm doing deals with. I'm gonna shout out these wholesalers and talk about how much I just paid this wholesaler. So I'd be like, just acquired this property, paid this wholesaler $30,000. If you got wholesale deals, I don't care what you make. Like, let's just do deals. And then boom, my DMs, weren't flooded, but I'd get a couple of DMs that led to deals. So, like, even just at a small time level, like it was working and making me money. And like making me a lot of money for $0, because it was just time and effort to make those posts. Video and stuff wasn't a thing back then. Like people weren't there was no short form, people just didn't watch video the way they do today. So, in 2020 when COVID hit, I was sitting there looking at it. I had like 50 house flips going on. I was like, dude, what am I even gonna do with my time? Like I'm probably going bankrupt, who knows? Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but let's see. And, you know, I just start realizing, I'm like, people are just at home watching content. That's all they're doing. I was like, freaking, why don't I just make content? And so I just started researching and, you know, understanding the game. And obviously I didn't know everything, but I just took action and started making TikToks. I literally just put up my phone and I started dancing. Like, it was just like, I didn't know what to do. It's just, that's what I saw on TikTok. I'm like, that's what you do. And so, but that's what social media is. It's a lot of testing. You know, I had somebody ask me like 3 days ago, they were like, Ryan, what are you and your team doing about threads? I was like, I don't know. It just came out 3 days ago. How am I supposed to know what, like, I'm not the expert. Nobody is. Like, you're just testing. So anyways, I had already had proof of concept that it was gonna be a good ROI. You guys have proof of concept because not only have you seen me, but you've seen many others do it and get good ROI. So like, the proof is there. You don't have to like sell that it will or will not work. It will work. But can you, you know, adapt and pivot and do the things necessary to make it work, right? Because a lot of people do a month, and then they get discouraged, like, oh, I freaking suck, and they quit, right? And that's anything. It's not just content. They'll do that with any form of marketing. They'll do direct mail for a month, they don't get a lead, they quit, you know? Like, you have to stay consistent in making content to succeed. And you will get an ROI. You know, I asked how many of you guys are in real estate? What's a deal worth to you? How much profit?
50 grand.
50K. All right, 50K, okay? You know, like our normal package at Pineda Media is 5K, all right? So do you think if you made content for 10 months, you could at least get one deal?
Yes.
There you go, right? And you'll get way more than one deal, by the way. It's not just, but I would be hard pressed to believe if you posted a reel every day and had a podcast every week that you did not get at least one deal. I would probably guess you'll get 10 deals at least, right? And guess what? If you get 10 deals, that's $500,000. You spend $5 grand a month. Your ROI is 10x on social media. But here's the thing about social media. It is the only form of marketing that doesn't stop. What I mean by that is, if you go pay for direct mail or PPC or a Facebook ad, what happens when you stop paying? It goes away. It's gone. Like, it never existed. It just flies off the face of the internet. Okay? But on social media, you go spend $5 grand on your TikTok, on your YouTube, it stays there. Like, they will keep getting views, right? I get views from videos 2 to 3 years ago, right? And we literally make money and get investments, and people come to WealthCon from videos they saw a year ago. No other form of marketing allows you to do that. And on top of that, no other form of marketing has, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, it has exponential scale. Because think about this, right? Facebook, YouTube, all these guys, they just do, like, you pay per impression. So it's like, hey, you want to get more views? You just pay for more views and you'll get them, right? Social media is not like that, because yeah, when you start out, it's hard to get views. But guess what? When you're at my level, I just put out a video and it's going to get just a certain amount of views. But I still spend the same amount of money. It cost me the same amount to edit that video and just get it done. Nothing changed. It's just, as my following grew, the views grow. And guess what happens when the views grow? The revenue grows. So it's the only form of marketing that also grows exponentially. You don't have to increase your social media spend to create more revenue. Your spend can stay the same, but your revenue keeps going up. You just have to make sure you get past the hard part. And this is where people fail. It's like, I tell all of our clients at Pineda Media, I'm like, guys, give it at least a year. Like, I'm not saying that because I need your money. It's like, that's just what it takes. Like, you think you're gonna go get a deal over, no form of marketing gives you a deal next month. You might, but don't expect it.
When did you, I noticed that across your businesses you have kind of like the funnels and VSLs to book a strategy session for high ticket.
Yeah.
When did you really figure out that that was the move to kind of take a lot of that business into high ticket sales?
I would say maybe like 2 years ago I learned that, and I applied it to everything. I applied it to our tax firm. I applied it to, you know,
I noticed it.
media, to raising capital. You know, it's funny because Brandon Turner was like, yeah, then we like hired a guy who built out funnels and stuff. And I'm like, dude, we just do that on every business now.
Are
Like,
you using
it
Go High
works.
Level for that, or?
No, we have HubSpot. Yeah. But there's a whole thing we could talk about with funnels and, you know, so like, last thing I'll leave you with, because they're telling me we got to go. First thing is, you got to get views, right? That's number one. From there, then you need the funnels to convert the views, right? That's how you get deals, right? If you just get a lot of views, but you don't ever do a call to action, you know, how are they gonna know to work with you? You never tell them what they can do with you, how are they gonna buy from you, right? If you're looking for investors, tell people, hey, by the way, if you got money on the sidelines or in an IRA or whatever the case is, you should invest with me. I mean, if you follow me, you already know, like, just DM me and let's talk about it. And then boom. That's the game, guys. Cool. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
So we're gonna move you over to this podcast room
Yeah.
over here, okay? And they're gonna be coming over here, so it's gonna be a little bit of a cross.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it.